So, this went final couple hours ago, 24-3, an ass kicking. And it wasn't Alabama who won in Norman. It's the team from Norman, Oklahoma Sooners. What a win for Coach Venables. Needed it, gets the program, a huge kind of momentous moment for Coach Venables. Arnold was functional in the game, but really Alabama resorted back to what they showed against Tennessee, to what they showed against Vanderbilt. Very unorganized play on the offensive side of the ball, and Oklahoma's veteran defense just took the fight to Alabama, all right? And Jalen Milroe in that offense, okay, and Kalen Deboer did not call a good game. And this is the hornet's nest of the SEC, is even a team that's down like Oklahoma, the talent that Oklahoma has on their defense, the NIL and everything, they have top 5 recruiting class talent. And like guys like Stutzman and guys on their defensive line, and I think Bowen might have had an interception, and you go down their roster, they got talent, and they pay big money for NIL, and their defense has been cranking it up all year long. And even Tennessee had trouble, against Oklahoma in Oklahoma. But Alabama's defense was not airtight today. They gave up some explosive plays. It was a well-called game by Oklahoma. And then you got Oklahoma playing their Super Bowl, their everything effort tonight. And that's what's so great about the SEC, is that every team's going to play their Super Bowl, and you're dealing with teams that are so talented with the NIL and transfer portal that, with NIL and transfer portal, like, there's no real, like, dominant teams that you're going to see, I don't think, in the SEC. Maybe I could be wrong. In the Big Ten Conference, the Big Ten has it better for the big dogs like Oregon and Ohio State, because Ohio State is still a monumental talent gap over Nebraska, over Illinois, over Indiana. But in the SEC, you look at the defenses of Alabama and Oklahoma, and they're not that different, right? Alabama used to play the SEC West with no NIL, so you'd be playing Arkansas, Mississippi State, you'd be playing Auburn, LSU. I think Alabama is maybe even undefeated against the damn SEC West. That's what's crazy. So, and again, I have a cold, but we're going to get through this. This is so damn exciting, and I mean, this is the season. Is Alabama, like, listen, if you go 10-2 in the SEC, like, that's what 11-1, 12-0 used to be. It's a different grading scale. The conference is a lot harder. Alabama needed to play Georgia, who's not in the SEC West this year. They needed to play South Carolina, who's a really good SEC East team. Vanderbilt's another SEC East, and Vanderbilt has fourth-year really good players. Like, Vanderbilt can go out and beat Indiana possibly. So the schedule was just so hard, and it got up to Alabama. Like, Alabama's a great team, and on any given day, they could even beat Ohio State or Oregon, and even Ole Miss can do the same thing. But the SEC cannibalized itself, whereas in the Big Ten, living is good. Living is fun. Living is easy. Work is easy. You don't have to go in 8 to 5 when you're in the Big Ten. You could show up at 1 o'clock and leave at 4 o'clock. You get those quote unquote banker hours, and that's just a stereotypical term. It's not an offense to bankers at all. All right. So that's the point, is that right now Notre Dame is in the catbird seat. Ohio State and Oregon are rocking too. And then Texas had an easier side of the slate. So it all comes down to the schedule, and it's a battle of nutrition. It's a war of attrition. And are you going to be there at the end surviving? Like Georgia, you're going to lose some ugly games. You're going to play like crap at Kentucky. You're going to lose to Ole Miss. You're going to play a terrible half of football in Tuscaloosa. But can you go to Texas and put it together? Can you put one half of ball together against Tennessee and survive and go 10-2? Whoever's left standing, and what it's going to be so funny in the playoffs is if we get an Ohio State-Oregon rematch, people are going to say, the Big Ten's better because the Big Ten's going to win a championship. But really, the Big Ten as a whole is so much weaker that Oregon could go out and beat Illinois by 40. Ohio State can go beat Maryland and Rutgers, by 30. But when you're at Alabama, there's no off weeks. You're getting tested by like an NFL caliber roster in the SEC. And eventually your body's going to wear down because these are 18 to 22-year-olds. These are not NFL players, so you're not meant to play 18 games. These are 18 to 22-year-olds. So, listen, the regular season is great, but the playoff structure is just going to be who's healthier at the right time, and that's what's going to decide it. Like, I don't even think Deboer did that poorly. I just think that the schedule caught Deboer. And again, he's going to get in his offensive system. You're going to see more consistent quarterback play. You're going to see offense and defense get better. And listen, I don't think like a Saban in this era, I don't think we're going to see a Saban really again. Maybe Dan Lanning in Oregon, maybe Ohio State, but the SEC is just a gauntlet. So I think the Big Ten has it right. You have a couple of elite teams, and then the rest of the conference is kind of fun to watch, but the rest of the conference is not going to be too much of a threat for your elite teams. So you're getting your 3 to 4 elite teams, just like the SEC used to get in Alabama, Georgia, Florida, and LSU. All right, and the rest would be fringe teams, but now with NIL, now with the coaches, now with the budgets in the SEC, now with Texas and Oklahoma, Greg Sankey, ironically, by being greedy, made his league so damn hard that Alabama and these member schools ultimately got by greed and money from Greg Sankey. Because this Alabama schedule just caught Alabama. That's what I think. I think Oklahoma's defense is great, all right? And Oklahoma's offense isn't that good. Alabama, I guess they needed one more win to get to the college football playoff, but would they even have the energy? Because they've been just absolutely, you saw tonight, injuries happen. They couldn't take the physical slugfest of SEC ball anymore. You know, they're kind of looking forward to trying to play in the playoffs, and they couldn't take SEC. They couldn't take the physical slugfest. And in this league, you know, Texas is going to get a physical slugfest against A&M. They're going to go to Atlanta. That's going to be a brawl. And really, Ohio State and Oregon are only going to play one more slobber knocker of a game. And Ohio State and Oregon next week, they're going to get more cupcake styles. And even Penn State, Notre Dame, these teams are going to be rested and ready to take on the challenge of the SEC. So that's just my asset. That's what I think about SEC football in Alabama.